What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Hope y'all doing well. We're live right now on Rockfin, on Twitter, I believe, and on YouTube. We'll see how long that lasts, right? Just gonna look over here. I want to do some. First of all, thank you all so much for getting here on time and early. If y'all would like this video and share this video, I greatly appreciate it. In the meantime, I'm gonna do some shout outs. Sharon, what's going on? Creative experience. Watch out for libertarians. They're crazy. Man, I could say that about literally every single side of everything at this point. Good God. Crazy does not seem to be, limited based off of political affiliation. I will tell you that. Let's see. Ruben Massagua, what's going on? What's going on? With my Rockfin peeps, I see 30 people in the chat right now, or 30 people watching, but I don't see anybody in the chat. We have an exciting show. You know, I like hearing from y'all. Give it about one more minute, if y'all could. Like I said, just share this video, like this video before we get started. Got a fantastic show for you today. We're gonna be talking about Anthony Fauci hopefully getting freaking fired soon. I'm not gonna hold my breath there, but I will say what we are seeing being put on record finally is at least giving me a glimpse of hope that the preservation of self-interest has begun. And when that happens, all bets are off. People just start throwing everybody under the bus. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I don't know about everybody else, but that's definitely what I'm looking forward to. And we're going to talk about Joe Rogan accidentally exposing the hell. I mean, he obviously did it on purpose, but I'm saying the degree that he's exposed everybody, I think is pretty damning. Mainstream media, politicians, all that good stuff. Like I said, we are live on the MCSC Network Twitter. We're also live on YouTube. We are live on Rockfin, of course, as well. I wanted to do some shout outs, man, but our Rockfin crowd is shy today. Oh, there we go. Let's go, Brandon. I trash. Matthew Chase is going on. Brian Cannabis, Proficient. Fauci does not lie. Fauci is science. How dare you questions? That was a wild video. Yeah, Ruben, I'm hoping that he sues him soon. Let's go, Brandon. Still waiting to meet that guy. I heard he's a pretty cool guy. Yeah, I mean, if Rogan does sue CNN, I think it actually begins to limit what he can say about them. And like, let's be honest, from a bottom line perspective, it's probably worth more money for him to just keep roasting CNN using their own takes than it would be for him to sue them. Like in the long run, they're going to settle out of court probably for like 5-10 million, but Joe can make like 30-40 million just off of roasting them. So I guess. All right, let me see where my my Rockfin peeps. There we go. Brian Nguyen, what's going on? Joel Smith. I don't know which one. Paul Feeder. Jerry Tatum. Thanks everybody for popping up. Been on Ivermectin. Paul, you've been on Ivermectin for 2 months? Man, let me tell you, we've been talking about Ivermectin since March or April of 2020. Yeah. Because I started doing more research into the alternative medications, because my mother's diabetic, and if she got COVID, we wanted to make sure that there was something available. Hydroxychloroquine wasn't being given at the time. At the time, ivermectin had actually not begun to be as demonized as it is right now. Interferon alpha 2B is something we were also talking about a lot. Also, I was looking more into ivermectin specifically because of the African nations that were using it in lieu of having a vaccine or any other remedy at the time outside of hydroxychloroquine. Because it was being like hydroxychloroquine, even if you are using it for rheumatoid arthritis, can cause issues for people who already have severe heart conditions. And so ivermectin was actually a suitable alternative for those who had severe heart conditions who couldn't treat their COVID at the time with hydroxychloroquine. So something that we have been looking into for a while. And as you all probably know by now, Jimmy Dore talks about how it literally saved his life. Same with Pasta from the Convo Couch. Yeah. Thomas Hutchison, you're the best, not chatting, just listening and learning. Oh, well, I appreciate that. I don't know if I'm the best. I'll probably put, the rest of my team. I learn a lot from them nowadays. I just get I'm like doing, 50,000 different things. But luckily with the help of RT on the production side, and definitely with the help of my team on the research side, because they're always finding new information and sending it to me where I can't find the time to sometimes. So I appreciate it though. I'm very, very blessed to be part of the MCSE fam. You're hearing that? Fauci is brilliant, wonderful. Said he's hearing that. She's hearing that. Fauci is married to Ghislaine Maxwell's sister. That's wild. Brian Nguyen said it's time to buy crypto, my people. Listen, I'm not a financial advisor, but I would advise you to maybe not invest your hard-earned money into fake stocks that don't mean anything. The stream today is going to be free. No worries. For our Rockfin people. All right. Now that I've had enough of my coffee intake for this afternoon, I think we're ready to get this show on the road. No. I think so. There we go. All right, people. Let's get it started. What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mika Says Sukas. And of course, as always, I am your humble host, Niko House. First of all, let me thank you all so much for the well wishes and the support from the video that we put out, me and RT put out regarding the protests that were taking place in New York. I hope that not only the protests, by the way, but the groundbreaking case, Kane versus de Blasio, where a teacher, special ed needs teacher specifically, is suing de Blasio and the government of New York for pushing mandates without allowing religious exemptions for arbitrary reasons. So we were able to go up there, by the grace of RT, believing in that in good reporting. We were able to go up there, and I was able to cover some. Just kind of like I wasn't expecting to see what I saw, I guess. Like I knew what I was going to see, but I wasn't expecting to see it in the way that I saw it. In other words, I saw a lot of cooperation between the left and the right. I saw conservatives showing up and breaking bread with leftists. I saw leftists who were a little bit outraged at the lack of participation overall. Well, I can't even say that. I can't even say participation because it wasn't participation. In fact, It was cowardice. I would say they were upset at the cowardice of the left, in at least in the New York area, because a lot of them believe in the cause as far as anti-mandates are concerned, or anti-mandate protests are concerned. But they're scared of how it will look, because unfortunately, that's just what the left is becoming, sadly. But there was definitely a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-ideological even coalition being formed, where you had former Trump supporters who no longer like Trump standing with former Biden supporters who no longer like Biden, standing with BLM protesters who separated from the national BLM movement because they understood that the mandate primarily hurts, especially in New York City, Black people. So y'all know how I am. I'm true to the cause, regardless of whatever the leaning politically may be, or whoever's pushing the narrative at the time. It's what's my Twitter name? I feel like everybody at this point, everybody knows what my Twitter name is, right? If you don't know, it's Joe Biden hates Black people. Because Joe Biden hates Black people. Just because I did not think that Donald Trump was the best for the country does not mean I will then turn around and then push Joe Biden on Black people, knowing that Joe Biden literally hates Black people. And it's been an intricate part of our oppression. Okay. This BLM organization decided to stay true to their values despite what the narrative was in neoliberal media, despite the pressure that came from the national BLM organization, and despite having to put differences aside with people they may have protested against at one point, whether it be Trump supporters, the NYPD itself, or the New York Fire Department. And if I wasn't able to go there and do that on the ground journalism, I think a lot of that story may not have been told. Like, I can't stress enough, of course, do I agree with everything that everybody said that I interviewed or that I talked to? No, because I'm not a robot and I have my own brain. And so you talk to people, you find agreement where you can find agreement. But most importantly, which in my opinion hadn't been done enough, at least not on a major media network. Most importantly, we didn't try to extrapolate what was going on in New York at RT. We actually went and figured it out ourselves. And so I'm very thankful for the opportunity to have been a part of that reporting. We're going to be having Michael Caine, who is the lead plaintiff in the Caine versus de Blasio case. We're talking about some further developments in that particular case coming on Monday. I got to talk to him about the time that he's coming on. But yeah, man, just as an aside, y'all know I'm from New York. The New York that once was, I still love. But that New York don't exist anymore. I don't know what the hell is going on in New York, dog. But y'all in these $75 Uber rides, I went from Manhattan to Brooklyn. For those of you who don't know, that's like a 15-minute train ride, roughly. Manhattan to Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy. That goddamn Uber ride cost me $75. It was originally 61, right? So it's 61, which is already a problem if you know, because back in the day when I lived there, 2016, it was only like $15, maybe $20 to get from Manhattan to Brooklyn, like deep in Brooklyn. But it was 61. See, but what they don't tell you is that there's what they do tell you, but it's in like the fine print. There's a black car tax or black car fee that you end up paying. Yes, a fee to take an Uber. And this is the fees and taxes that you already pay to take an Uber. Mm-hmm. And there is also a congested traffic fee that you pay. Which you don't really know if you have to pay it until after Uber decides whether or not the traffic was congested after you already took the Uber ride. I don't know what's going on up there in Nazi New York, but y'all got to get this together, y'all. Y'all got to get this together. It's ridiculous. It's scary. I actually want to be able to enjoy I don't even go visit my family in New York anymore. I only go up there for work now. And I go back up there again soon. I'm not looking forward to it. Because one, it's cold. I know how I feel about the cold. But it's one thing when it's cold. It's another thing when it's cold and Nazi Germany at the same time. I can't do both. I can't deal with one or the other. Can't do both. I really, really, really hope. I mean, the people up there, like, they just seem like they're sad, yo. It's upsetting. It really is. It's there's very few places you can go to without a vaccine mandate, or excuse me, without a vaccine. People are getting fired from their jobs. Michael Caine, in the interview that we had, talks about the fact that the people primarily being affected by teachers being fired are actually the special needs children. Right now, they're replacing certified teachers, certified to care for those children, with people who have no certification and really have little to no experience teaching because they are running so low. And now parents are pulling their kids out of school, quitting their job, even if they took the mandate or took the vaccine. Now parents are quitting because they want to homeschool their kids so they can make sure that they're getting adequate care. Like, this is the stuff that I saw while I was up there. And it was depressing in a lot of ways. It was great to see a lot of supporters and shit. You know, that was fun. That was dope. But Lord knows, yo, like, New York, yo, get it together. You said, why am I using Uber instead of independent taxis? I don't know if you noticed, but in New York, last I checked, there is no such thing as an independent taxi anymore. Also, even before Ubers, I don't think there was a such thing as an independent taxi. There's a whole, like a medallions, some super weird mobbish type of medallion system where it's like ridiculously expensive to try and create like a taxi company or be your own taxi. If you don't have one of those medallions and you get caught taxiing people around, at least back in the day, it was a problem. These people are so powerful that they are the reason that Uber was forced to integrate the previously established taxi system into Uber, and then even limit, to my knowledge, I think they limit the type of cars and the type of drivers who can drive Uber and Lyft more in New York City than in any other part of the country or really any other part of the world, because that taxi system is so, like, that shit is crazy. So you heard about a drive share and co-op in New York City? Hey, don't tell nobody. Don't snitch, because they might come for them next. All right. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get started with the show. First of all, I don't know if y'all heard this, but Dr. Fauci is on the hot seat. Oh my God, who could have imagined? We could have never seen this coming. I know. Because we all know that Dr. Fauci is a pillar of integrity, is just oozing with consistency. It's not like Dr. Fauci's ever said anything wrong. Okay, maybe once, but it's not like he's ever said anything wrong 50 times, perhaps. Okay, maybe that's a little bit wrong too, but he hasn't quite hit 100 yet. He's hovering around at 97. Okay, and it seems that after a recent spat with Ron Paul, combined with, you know, the 97 lies that he's told thus far, the flip and the flop and the flippy and the flippy and the flip flop and he don't stop. You know, between all of that, Congress is getting kind of tired of him. So really quick, let's go ahead and check out this exchange that he has with Rand Paul, where he effectively calls Rand Paul a liar for suggesting that the NIH engage in gain-of-function research funding, even though the NIH director just quit. Because, you know what? I'm going to just let Kim talk about it.
In Wuhan, China. In fact, he insisted that the only person lying during that heated exchange was Senator Rand Paul himself.
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement. This paper that you are referring to was judged by qualified staff up and down the chain as not being gain of function.
So
What
you're
was-
saying when
let
you
me
take-
finish.
You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans.
Right.
You're saying that's not gain of
Yeah,
function?
that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially. You do not know what you are talking about.
Well, now it comes out in a letter written by the NIH.
You do not know what you are talking about. First of all, bro, stay off Black Twitter. I don't know who convinced you like to if you, hey man, just speak with some sass and wave your head back and forth like this and people will believe you, even if you're full of shit. Like, no, it's not how it works, Fauci. You're literally supposed to be a doctor. Stop. This is the thing that has bothered me about Fauci this entire time, by the way, is that when it comes time to use his doctor credentials, you know, the thing that has made him the leading authority on viral research, he never actually starts using the jargon that you would expect one to use with the pay and the authority and the Disney Plus documentaries that Dr. Fauci has, supposedly. He never actually goes in, you know, because I'm at some point, like, I just expect to be confused. I like being confused from time to time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like knowing that my doctor knows more than I do about doctor stuff. I think everybody does. But what he does instead is, well, I talk to all the experts and the top researchers from the bottom to the top. And all the doctors and the experts said that I am in fact science. And since I am in fact science, you cannot question me because then you would be questioning science. And if you're questioning science, well, then you must have voted for Donald Trump. And you like Clorox bleach. That's what he does. He never actually does the doctor thing now. Like, I like going to my doctor's office and sometimes I'm just like listening, like, damn, man, for real? That's crazy. I don't know what you just said, but that shit sounds important. I mean, you sound like you've been to school for this. Nobody has ever left a conversation with Dr. Fauci feeling like, man, he clearly went to a really good school for this and listened to everything his professor said. He's just bursting with experience. No one ever felt like that. So after that heated exchange with Senator Rand Paul, Fauci ended up getting kind of exposed. Because, you know, one thing we could say about Republicans that we can't even necessarily say about Democrats, but we can definitely say it about Republicans, is that, they hate being embarrassed. Because they like, we already don't tell the truth a lot as it is. So when the one time we do tell the truth, albeit for selfish reasons, considering that the midterms are coming up, the one time we do tell the truth, we gonna need you to act like, to give us our flowers, because it ain't going to happen often. It's not going to happen often. We know this. And so some information got dropped. Let's go ahead and check it out. Oh, what did I say? White House coronavirus advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci and National Institutes of Health Director Francis Collins have declared under oath that they did not fund the dangerous gain-of-function virus research in China that is now believed to be the origin of the COVID-19 pandemic. But now the NIH has admitted in a letter to the leading Republican on the House Oversight Committee that the U.S. funded an experiment at Wuhan Institute of Virology in which a bat coronavirus was modified, creating a virus that made mice sicker than the original virus. Now, I actually did cover this. I believe it's on Rockfin. Could not cover it on YouTube for obvious reasons. Because, you know, if you quote mainstream media headlines in articles on YouTube about COVID, then you might get suspended, because that's where we're at now. So, but the director of the NIH actually resigned. Well, he was forced to resign effectively because this information got leaked out. Okay, let's continue. In the letter issued Wednesday, the NIH Principal Deputy Director Lawrence Tabak told House Oversight Committee ranking Republican James Comer of a final progress report submitted in August by EcoHealth Alliance, the nonprofit founded by the U.S.-based British zoologist Peter Daszak. Tabak, while tacitly admitting the limited experiment meets the definition of gain-of-function research, insists the outcome was unintended. I'm not exactly sure if they bring this part up, but did you also know, and this is according to everything that was released, this was also the only SARS-CoV research that was kept out of the public's eye. And like Rand Paul actually brought up, this was created to be more infectious to humans. Yeah. So those are pretty important things to bring up when discussing this as well. Richard Ebright tweeted out, the NIH corrects untruthful assertions by NIH Director Collins and NIAID Director Fauci that NIH had not funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan. NIH states that EcoHealth Alliance violated terms and conditions of the NIH grant. Well, who was a liar now, Mr. Fauci? We're up to 98 out of 100. I know I said that he's only at 97 lies and not 100 lies, so we should still maybe consider trusting him. But now we're at 98. You're getting real close to that limit, bro. To call this is from Mark Meadows. To call this a bombshell is an understatement. Dr. Fauci and others claimed under oath that the NIH didn't fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan lab. Now the obvious is confirmed. They did. Now, what makes this even more interesting, in my humble opinion, is the fact that if you or I were to sit in front of a Senate committee of any kind, House committee of any kind, and we were asked a direct question, right? And then our direct response to that question, I'll go ahead and post that article, by the way. I saw somebody requested it. I just posted it in the chat. I'll post it on Rockfin as well. Boom. There you go. You're welcome. Like I was saying, if you or I were to sit in front of a Congress or a Senate committee and we were directly asked a question to be responded to directly, and then when we responded directly, we, gave some indirect truth, also fondly known as a lie, there's a whole codification for that. And that's what we call perjury. And it's actually a felony. And in fact, I believe it was Cohen, right? It was Cohen. It was one of Trump's advisors. He's in jail right now because of perjury. Am I mistaken there? No, I don't think so. Now, Dr. Fauci hasn't just been lying to Congress. He's been lying to everybody. Everybody. For years. The fact that the NIH, whatever the hell you want to call it, the fact that this was being funded and Fauci turned, because now we got to put this in the grand scheme. I know I love my grand scheme conversations, right? Okay, so let's bring it back real quick to the BuzzFeed leaks with Dr. Fauci's emails. Remember when everybody, once again, y'all know how I feel about Trump. I'm not the biggest fan, but I got to keep it a band because somebody has to. All right. So remember whenever Trump came out and was like, yeah, pretty sure this was funded in the lab. I mean, this was created in the lab. It just seems like that's and then Fauci was like, what? That's crazy. And then people were like, yo, that's racist. Because out of all of the things said by both Joe Biden and Donald Trump about China, hey, scientifically speaking, a virus that came out of nowhere probably came out of a lab instead of a bat soup. Like, The fact that that was considered the most racist thing said about China at the time by either of the presidential candidates should have already raised red flags, because if you actually listen to the debates, both Trump and Biden were literally in a racist Olympics to figure out who could say the most racist thing about China. That was the least offensive thing that anyone said in that race. But the reason, of course, now we know that Trump said what he said about the Wuhan lab theory is because the Wuhan lab theory didn't come out of thin air. It came from the hot air. Fauci was blowing up everybody's ass as usual. Because Fauci did not just brief Donald Trump, but he briefed almost every world leader that this likely did come out of a lab and that it likely was man-made. But he stood in front of you and me and the president and said, nah, man, bat soup sounds a little bit better. That sounds like a better, more scientific theory. See, here he goes again, sounding kind of weird. Like, you're like, bro, you have a doctor in front of your name. Can you at least pretend like science? Pretend like science. Just act like it. I can watch the Magic School Bus and literally feel smarter than listening to a 5-minute dissertation from Fauci, like for real. Bat suit definitely sounded better, right? So that was one of the biggest lies of this entire ordeal. And Fauci knew it was a lie. Then we're finding out, because remember, he just called Rand Paul a liar, saying, nah, man, this isn't gain of function. What? You're full of it. You see, Rand Paul's a doctor too. And although I disagree with him a lot politically when it comes to a lot of things, he is a doctor. He's one of them experts we're supposed to be leaning on. Trust the science, believe the experts. And 2 doctors went at it. And one doctor clearly read the directions. He clearly did some research. Because Mr. Play Dr. Fauci got exposed. And we find out he's lying once again. So that's what? That's at least 2 big lies. Then you find out what gain of function research is, which is, of course, what they just described, making something that was already bad worse, to simplify. Obviously, it's an oversimplification, but a necessary one to save time. And like we learned last week or a couple of weeks ago, whenever the former NIH director resigned, this was specifically hidden from the public. So now the consequences of Fauci's actions have led to policies, right? Policies, not just in the States, but policies crafted all over the world because of Fauci. Do you see the problem that this might present for a lot of people who may be a little bit skeptical of government figures like Fauci? I just feel like this is a non-controversial statement. And quite frankly, Senator, you don't know what you're talking about. And I want to put that on the record officially. Jerry Tatum, thank you very much for the tip on Rockfin. So Congress is now calling for the firing of Dr. Fauci. I'm pull this bill up for you guys. I'm gonna read to y'all some of the important parts, but I want to show you just in case you want to show your friends and family. Now, of course, this is to put in proper context. This was introduced by Republicans. Excuse me. So the odds of this getting passed is probably 0 to none. Because just like any true controlled opposition, when you have power, you do absolutely nothing to hold people in power accountable. But when you don't have power, you do grand gestures to make people think that when you do get power, you're going to hold people in power accountable. But to get a lot of this information on paper, written out, excuse me, in a way that rightfully implicates Fauci in a lot of the problems, not just dealing with COVID, but the problems that subsequently arrived because of how COVID was handled. This is a big deal. So, this is HR 2316 to reduce the salary of the director of National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases to provide for an audit of the correspondence, financial statements, and the policy memoranda within the offices of the director during the COVID-19 outbreak and for other purposes. Now, unfortunately for everybody, this is introduced by Marjorie Taylor Greene. So, but hey, we just we take our blessings. We just count them. You know, we count them for where they are. We tried to dwell too much on the details. So you have part of the bill that says, notwithstanding any other provision of the law, the Comptroller General of the United States shall complete an audit of the digital correspondence, policy memoranda, financial transactions within the NIAID from October 2019 to December 31st, 2021. Now, in my humble opinion, this should happen anyway, regardless of whether or not this bill passes. And I wish they kind of would have introduced this separately. But nonetheless, an audit would be a big deal. Every single time that we have seen more of Fauci's correspondence than he originally expected us to, it has led to just massive revelations. And we're learning more and more and more. Not only is Fauci full of it, but he had accomplices. It also goes on to talk about the fact that says, let me see if I can go to it for you. Number 6 right here. Dr. Anthony Fauci has continually failed to provide Americans with accurate information about the COVID-19 pandemic and has shown distrust in the American private sector and American ingenuity. I mean, I feel like, so yes, he has continually lied and he's failed to provide Americans with accurate information. That's for sure, 100%. The other problem is he has not shown distrust in the American private sector. In fact, one could even argue the American private sector, aka Pfizer and Moderna, are paying his bills. If anything, he loves the American private sector. The private sector he takes orders from. What I found interesting that I just learned through reading this bill, though, because I'm like, damn, obviously this bill is also to reduce his salary and to replace him. And what we learned is Dr. Fauci is not only the highest paid doctor in the federal government, but the highest paid of any of the 4 million federal employees, including the President of the United States. Bruh, his salary right here earned in 2020 $434,000. While you couldn't pay your bills, while some of you are waiting to be evicted or unfortunately have already been evicted, while you're losing your jobs based off of the policies and the statements that Anthony Fauci has made and changed and made and changed and made and changed and changed and made, this man got health care benefits from the government, from your dollars, and is making $434,000. He is the highest paid federal employee in the entire nation, and he has been a miserable failure. Bruh. Are you kidding me? Why? Yo, there are people. I mean, hell, if you work in the right to work state, you can get fired over messing up once. Just one time. But Fauci has messed up to such a degree that the entire world's economy has been affected. He was telling people, and we're going to talk about that in a second, he was basically steering people away from hydroxychloroquine and zinc, which later had to be retracted even by CNN. He was steering people away from ivermectin, which we know now has been thoroughly debunked. So how many lives have been lost because people, while making policy, relied on the word of Dr. Fauci? $10, $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, $70,000, maybe, probably higher potentially. Are you for real? Most doctors can get sued for medical malpractice over they can mess up one time in their entire career. If that one time doesn't even have to cost the person their life, just causes them a serious inconvenience, they can be sued for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. But Dr. Fauci somehow, through messing up during the entirety of the pandemic, not being consistent in any way other than his inconsistency, made $434,000 while the rest of the nation went poor. Hey man, so are y'all still planning on doing your Christmas from Zoom? You gonna do your Zoom Christmas? Is anybody planning on doing that? I'm not. That's crazy. So what do I think is going to happen? Do I think Fauci could be fired? I don't know about fired. I think that Fauci is becoming what I said would happen. I don't know if y'all know it's been a while since I've streamed, but I don't know if y'all recall, but I said that self-interest always prevail, especially in delicate situations such as these when so many people are involved, but there's one face that keeps getting thrown out there. And I said when the BuzzFeed leaks originally dropped, where BuzzFeed in the mainstream media was trying to frame the leaks in the email, like, yeah, we got these leaks. We did a whole FOIA request and got these leaks, these emails, because we're just so we wanted to show how competent Fauci was in handling this pandemic when we know those emails showed that Fauci was anything and everything but competent while handling the situation. And I said, yeah, they are throwing him out as chum. They're literally feeding him to the sharks. I said that back then. I said they are going to frame it as such, where that we released more information on Fauci than anyone asked for, or at least any of the neoliberals, the Fauciists, had asked for, because they're looking out for him. No. So they're looking for a scapegoat because too much information about COVID-19, about ivermectin, about Fauci, about the origins of this situation. Too much information was coming out way too fast. They could not get, in my humble estimation, they could not get a grip on the information fast enough. Every time a lie would come out, it would be corrected within months, then days, now hours. And so now Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, she's a newer member of Congress. However, there are a lot of these members of Congress, Republicans too, who had all the ability to do all this research and did nothing. This Fauci's been here for 7 presidents, people. The gain of function research funding happened through the NIH and then through a grant by the NIAID. In other words, Republicans and Democrats have both dominated the House while this is going on. So, one guy just happened to be 81 years old. You've been here for 7 presidents, dog. You got, you finally became the famous guy you wanted to be. We propped you up, gave you Disney Plus special, so you got a bag off of that. I was like, I'm a young congressperson. I'm a corrupt official, but I'm a young corrupt official. Hey, look, man, we all talked about it, and somebody had to go. And it's probably going to be Fauci. But who does that hurt? Who does that help? Will the policies in your city change tomorrow if Fauci is fired or if he's forced to resign? Is Fauci going to go even be put through the same due process that you or I will be put through? For one, committing perjury under oath. 2, funding a literal bioweapon and lying to the public about it. 3, lying for the sake of lying. Lying about medication, or misleading, I should say, about the effectiveness or lack thereof of medication that could have saved lives. Regardless of what you feel about the vaccines, the facts now show medications that could have saved lives, Fauci, and then subsequently others, because of Fauci, dismissed. At the very bare minimum, it's gross negligence, which is still a jailable offense in the case of Dr. Fauci. No, I think that it would be important for the sake of the discovery phase, if you will, for him to be held accountable. I think it'll be important for the sake of just the amount of information that will be put out. The hey guys, we've been telling you. So if Fauci is guilty of all of this, how much of the other stuff is true? How much have we been being played? How much have we been lied to? And then so from that perspective, hopefully people's eyes will be more opened up and they will start now leaning more into independent journalism and being a little bit more skeptical of the mainstream narrative regarding this entire situation. So they can get all the information, have the autonomy of that information, and to make an honest assessment themselves. That's about as far as it's going to go. Because in my humble opinion, and this isn't a new opinion, I've been saying Fauci was going to be hung out as a scapegoat. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what we're seeing play out. He'll still be rich. He'll still be a millionaire. He will not be in jail. Unfortunately, I still have to see his face on Disney Plus every time I go to watch a Marvel movie, which is sad. So, yeah, man. But hell, I still like seeing all his dirty laundry being aired out on Front Street. Gotta admit. So, with that being said, I do want to move on to our next topic. So, Joe Rogan, low-key, kind of accidentally exposed the hell out of the mainstream media. Not that he doesn't do it all the time, but I'm saying like accidentally, because what he said was a pretty damning indictment of everything we have just seen from the mainstream media over the last year and a half. Not just because of the mainstream media's lies, but because of Congress's lies. But when I say lies, I don't mean like they were actually lying. I mean, Congress is always actually lying, but I mean, in this particular case, they were doing what I like to call lying by omission. What do I mean by that? So let's go ahead and check out really quick this Joe Rogan clip of him describing what he's been put through because of his statements on ivermectin, which I'm sure a lot of you are already kind of familiar with. But for those of you who are not, let's check it out.
It's fascinating though. The exposing of mainstream media. That's one thing that I'm very
Corporate
happy
press.
about.
They don't call them mainstream because they're not mainstream.
Right. This show is more mainstream than they
Yes,
are.
it's the corporate press.
It's more mainstream by a factor of 10.
Of course.
Which is pretty crazy.
But it's also funny how they will do everything in their power to make you seem like you should be dismissed and not taken seriously.
Right. Yeah, but it's not working.
No.
That's what's fascinating. But this framing of like ivermectin as horse medicine was I'm in some ways I'm really happy that they did it to me, because they could have done
the audience to blast back. Did you see that supercut?
Yes.
Of
Yes.
just one after another, them laughing at you.
Yeah, hilarious.
But also this is what's interesting. They kept saying that ivermectin. First of all, it's like you called your dealer. You had it prescribed, right?
Yeah.
So when they say it's not approved, it's not like you are using your own judgment. You're using the judgment of a medical professional, which is what they've been yelling for a year and a half. Listen to the experts.
Well, not only that, I listed off a laundry list of medications, and that's the one they focused on.
Right.
I said I took monoclonal antibodies. I said I took prednisone. I said I took Z-Pak. I said I had IV infusions of NAD and of vitamins, and I also took ivermectin. I mean, it should be no surprise. I had Dr. Pierre Corey, who is one of the doctors from the frontline critical COVID care group that has been treating people, including, by the way, 200 Congresspeople have been treated with ivermectin for COVID. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Google that. 200. I believe you could probably find it in Dr. Pierre.
So, that's something that I feel like everybody should have known, considering people were dying from COVID. Now, some people might think there's a little bit of cap in Joe Rogan's rap, but I can assure you, there is no cap in Joe Rogan's rap, because here is the tweet from Dr. Pierre Corey. There we go. Y'all can hear me now. Good. Okay. So y'all go say it. As you can see here, Ms. Pierre Corey said, fun fact, between 100 and 200 United States Congress members, plus many other staffers and family members with COVID, were treated by a colleague over the past 15 months with ivermectin and and the I Mask Plus protocol at frontline COVID care, critical care lines. None have gone to the hospital. Just saying. And so what I'm just saying is that it appears that there was no cap in Mr. Joe Rogan's rap. There's not only were Congress members, but their staffers and family members were treated by ivermectin. Are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to tell me that members of Congress were eating horse paste? Did somebody tell them? Did somebody tell them that ivermectin is just it's horse paste? Because that's what we were told, right? In fact, we were told over and 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 over again that ivermectin is just horse paste. What we were never told about is the fact that that horse paste, quote unquote, was being used on Congress members while being smeared to the public to save their lives and lives of their family members. Now, why would I say it was being used over and over and over again? The supercut that was referred to in that video, let me go ahead and play it for you. Because, bruh. Oh, you see it? Yeah, you know it's gonna be good. And the Casparians within the first couple seconds.
It blows my mind that Joe Rogan just yesterday admitted to taking ivermectin.
Ivermectin is something more often used to deworm horses.
CNN is saying I'm taking horse dewormer.
Rogan telling his 13 million Instagram followers that he was treated with several drugs, and he included ivermectin on the list, a drug used for livestock.
Rogan said the word ivermectin. Yes, that's the deworming medicine made to kill parasites in farm animals.
Why would they lie and say that's horse dewormer?
So things are clearly bad, but they're being made even worse by people who have refused to take the vaccine and instead are swallowing horse paste.
Wait a second. He said that he got better because he ate cattle dewormer.
They must know that that's a lie.
You have individuals like Joe Rogan, for example, who don't want to take an experimental vaccine but will take horse dewormer.
Well. If it isn't old horseworm Rogan.
Ivermectin is often used to deworm livestock.
Ivermectin apparently given to deworm animals.
It's a lie on a news network, and it's a lie that's a lie that they're conscious of. It's not a mistake.
Yeah.
They're unfavorably framing it as veterinary medicine.
Joe Rogan, he came down with COVID. He says he's been taking the livestock dewormer ivermectin.
They lied and said I was taking horse dewormer.
Ivermectin is a drug that is commonly used as a horse dewormer.
They keep saying I'm taking horse dewormer. I literally got it from a doctor.
You know, doctors say you could take it for humans. Yeah, but not for coronavirus.
He may not have gotten it from the feed supply store, but it's the same compound.
When you have a horse deworming medication that's discouraged by the government, that actually causes some people in this crazed environment we're in to actually want to try it. That's the upside down world we're in with figures like Joe Rogan.
Bro, do I have to sue CNN?
He also acknowledged taking a controversial treatment design for animals.
Does it bother you that the news network you work for out and out lied, just outright lied about me taking horse dewormer?
They shouldn't have said that.
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
You know what's crazy? So I was listening very carefully. And you know what I didn't hear? Did I hear Senator such and such has been taking horse dewormer for the last 15 months. Representative so-and-so has been taking horse dewormer for the last 15 months. The wife of Congressman blah, blah, blah has been taking horse dewormer for the last 15 months. Oh my God. This Congresspeople's entire staffing office has been taking horse dewormer for I didn't hear any of that. That's interesting. Real quick, because there's another medication that was, literally lied about. Hydroxychloroquine and zinc. Had to be retracted. The lies had to be retracted. Then there were subsequently articles put out that said, actually, it can help save your life if you take it appropriately. Whenever the lie was initially put out that hydroxychloroquine and zinc was bad for you, and Trump said, yeah, I'm taking hydroxychloroquine and zinc, almost all the leaders are taking it. I don't see why this is a big deal. What did we hear for the next several months? Oh my God, I can't believe it. The president is taking hydroxychloroquine and zinc. He told you to drink bleach. Oh my God, hydroxychloroquine will kill you. Oh my God, Fauci said don't take that. Yeah. Isn't that right? I'm not crazy. I didn't imagine that. When one president, one leader in this country, at least one to our knowledge, said something about hydroxychloroquine and zinc as a preventative measure, he was attacked and smeared into oblivion, despite the fact that hydroxychloroquine and zinc was later confirmed to help save lives from COVID. But we're now finding out that the very medication that Joe Rogan and others have been smeared for taking has been used by Congresspeople for 15 months with not a single goddamn peep out of CNN or MSNBC or New York Times or the Daily Beast or any of these lying motherfuckers who have pushed people away from taking medication that could have very well saved thousands and thousands of lives. In Congress, as usual, just let it happen. I like what somebody just said. Nom nom yam in the YouTube chat said, yeah, but who cares about all that, right? Just blame the unvaccinated. Now y'all probably remember I covered that story a little bit ago. Whenever the mandates for the jobs first came out, Joe Biden, when he said, "Oh, we're gonna mandate people that are working, or your boss has to, if you have over 100 employees, this is what you have to do now." But in Congress, you don't have to let people know whether or not you got the vaccine. They're on an honor system, because they are eating the shit out of that ivermectin with honor. That's why they're on the honor system. Got a weird feeling. Just trust me on that one. Now, these Congress people are generally, they skew older. You know, they're not spring chickens. Probably in the more vulnerable side of the human condition. More on the immune compromised side. Okay. And not a single one of them has been hospitalized. You know what? Now that I think about it, isn't that kind of weird that none of them have been hospitalized? It's almost like what Dr. Pierre said is true. Now, Jimmy Dore also talked about the fact that ivermectin basically saved his life. Pasta, if you ever listen, Pasta from the Convo Couch, if you ever listen to him talk about it, same thing. I know this is going to sound like the most morbid take, okay? Like the most morbid outlook. But I feel like it never really gets properly framed. In other words, what we just learned in the last couple of weeks with this whole Joe Rogan thing is that Congress people took medicine that you were prevented from getting, allowed media and even our elected officials and officials not so elected like Fauci and the FDA to lie about medication that they believe might have saved their lives. At least Dr. Pierre believes had a part in making sure they weren't hospitalized. Some people couldn't get access to it. People were smeared for taking it. Doctors were censored for advocating for it. People's lives were lost because they didn't get access to it and couldn't get access to it. And CNN, as you saw, CNN, MSNBC, all these people, as you saw from the supercut, all of these people were literally smearing Joe Rogan for something that these Congress people were taking the entire time. They were okay with you dying. I don't know how else to put that. Congress was okay with you dying. CNN was okay with you dying. They were okay with your family members dying, your friends dying, your grandparents dying. They were okay with you dying. And if they've been taking it for roughly 15 months, so it's October, about to be November, March would have roughly been around the time that started. That means they had the research the entire fucking time. The research that would have disallowed them from pushing an emergency authorized use for COVID jabs. No, because if there is a reasonable solution, then the emergency authorized use for an experimental drug of any kind wouldn't be able to fly. Which means the money that they took from the pharmaceutical industry at least incentivized them to let people die while taking the medication that you were being denied. Bruh. This is tantamount to a fucking genocide. And that's not hyperbole. Because you have to account for side effects that may have occurred in people who may have been better off just taking ivermectin preventatively instead of taking the vaccine reactionarily. You have to account for people who have died on ventilators when giving them ivermectin seemingly would have saved their life based off the studies that we've seen so far. You have to account for the people who couldn't, literally, there were local laws put in place to prevent people from getting ivermectin. I don't even know how many people actually may have lost their life or been put through unnecessary struggles because they regularly took ivermectin and weren't allowed to get that for something that's totally different than COVID. You have to account for how long people waited in limbo for a vaccine. For those who decided to get the vaccine, that was what, a year and some change, almost roughly a year, where they kept telling you, we have to wait. We just have to wait. Your business has to close until we get this vaccine. Your money has to stop until you get this vaccine. Your medical bills, they are what they are. It is what it is. Sorry, you might go bankrupt until we get this vaccine. Need to travel? Too bad. You're stuck in Europe, stuck in South America, stuck in the States. Got to go back to China or Iran or Spain. Too bad. Got to wait for the vaccine. Livelihood hanging on by a thread. Hey, wait a year. We'll get that taken care of. But what about you? No, we got ivermectin. We're good. We're fine. Now, it's also important in the same vein. It's also important to remember, like I just said, if ivermectin was cleared as a legitimate treatment for COVID at the time, there is no authorized use for the COVID vaccines, at least for emergency authorized use. They would have to take the same steps that they've taken time and time again for vaccines, decades before final approval. Now, if you paid attention to when the ivermectin smear started recently, it was within the 24 to 48 hour period of the booster shots being approved under the EAU, again, Pfizer's booster shot specifically. Because once again, the EAU can't actually be granted if there are legitimate alternative solutions available. Are we starting to see a problem here? People were allowed to die after being denied medication that Congress was taking to save their own asses, presumably because of the research available that they had been denying existed for the entire last 15 months. After taking hundreds of millions from the pharmaceutical industry, the same pharmaceutical industry that is actually, that you're unable to sue if you were to fall victim or to experience an injury. From the emergency authorized jab that actually we're now finding out should have never been granted emergency authorization. Because the medication to solve this problem had been made available and was being actively used. Bruh. That is a bombshell of bombshells. And I really, really hope, that's why I asked y'all to share this video. Because, obviously, there's a lot. I understand there's a lot. It's hard to keep up with all this stuff. And there's a lot of great people who've been doing a very, very good job of keeping up with all this stuff. But, we're going to try. We try to keep a big picture. By the way, thank you, Bethlehem, for the tip on Rockfin. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Who else did I miss? I'm missing somebody. Let me go to my phone. Give me a second. I want to make sure I shout everybody out. Oh, Awa. Thank you very much for the tip. I didn't see it because it took the channel, not the video. But yeah, we try to keep it bigger picture here. I try to simplify it as much as possible to help people understand. Like, I don't know how much more simple can I get than Congress took medicine that potentially saved their life from COVID. Once again, presumably after the research was made available that it works, otherwise why would so many people take it? After taking money from the pharmaceutical industry who cannot get in an emergency authorized use approved for their vaccine, if it was made public that that particular solution used by Congress was safe and effective. People died because of that decision. And we still want to blame this on incompetence? Is that what we're still doing? I know some people still want to think that, but like, it's not incompetence anymore. This is, once again, this is not, correct me if I'm being hyperbolic, but this is literally tantamount to genocide, bro. Genocide for hire. Like, you got paid off to do it. Effectively, they paid Congress. Congress looked the other way. And people died. A lot of people died. People have lost their jobs over an EAU that should have never been granted. People are still losing their jobs over an EAU for this booster shot that we now know should have never been granted. This isn't rocket science. So we'll see who keeps putting up with the bullshit, because it's obvious at this point. Congress is okay with you dying. Fauci's okay with you dying. All these people are okay with you dying. As long as they're taken care of, they keep their benefits and they keep making money. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Make sure y'all like this video, share it. Also, to keep up with all of our updates, because y'all know we be getting censored out here, unfortunately. Make sure that you all subscribe to my Telegram channel, because I'll be posting all content updates there. So if there isn't, I'll post the link right here too. That's where we look off and keep it uncensored, allow people to interact. on content without worrying about being reported and all that good shit. Posted it on. I posted my Telegram. The Telegram link is in the description for both YouTube and Rockfin. But I just posted it in the chats as well. So make sure y'all go subscribe there. Thank you all for tuning in, by the way. Thursday, Kim Iverson will be joining the show. Now, some of you all may have known her for a while now, but she's become more commonly known as Kim Iverson of the Hill Rising. You know, she's bougie now. She's been over there handing Ryan Grimm his ass. That's what really has been going on. But yeah, Kim Iverson's coming on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And y'all know that's going to be a ball. Because we got a lot of I told you so's to do. Okay. And she's also going to be talking about her time and experience at the Hill. So that's going to be fun. I'm really excited to catch up with an old friend. I'm sure that you all as well. But the interview is only going to be on Rockfin. So in case you are not on Rockfin, go to rokfin.com. rokfin.com/Niko. Matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and post a link in the YouTube description. All right. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. Don't worry, I'll be sending out an email. And I'll be posting it to the Telegram just to let you all know when we're going live. So that's gonna be on Thursday. We have some other stuff to cover in between, of course. But just want to give everybody a heads up. 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. Kim Iverson will be joining our Thursday show. All right. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Thank you for staying around for so long. Like this video. Share this video. If you're watching after, leave a comment below. But always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.